Good evening all. So we have come back with a new video, and today we'll talk about a very interesting topic that is related to everyone, and that everyone at least has been affected by a proper or a very bad transportation system. And today I will be talking about how we can compare between different transportation systems across the globe. What are the factors that we need to consider? What are the different modes of transport that is available? What is the dreams of human beings in terms of transport? So let me start off telling what are the comparisons that can people make between the transport in a city A or in a particular city and the transport in another city. So how we know, are we moving or are we transporting within our city or outside within our country in a way that is better than the other countries, or it's a worse? So there are a few factors that you always look at when you look at transport. The first one is reliability, and reliability is about the ability of the human being to depend on the transport mode. So it's about using, for example, using a car to move you from point A to point B, and the car does not break down at point C or in the middle of the journey. So you want a transport system that is reliable, that allow you to reach from point A to point B, and that you always can depend on it, that you always can take it. So a lot of people until this day, they are not using public transport because of reliability, but they are actually using it because of cost. So they are saying the car is costing us more, so let us use the car. However, in some countries, at least in London, I know for sure, the public transport system becomes more reliable than the road transport system, because roads are full of congestion, they are full of traffic jams. So if you want to go from point A to point B and you are very limited with time, and you want to make sure that you reach at the shortest distance possible, sometimes in many cases you would choose to travel in the underground in London rather than moving the car and start driving. And the reason behind that in some cases the underground system in London is quite efficient, that allow people to travel quickly between different stations. So we see the metro systems are expanding in some of our neighboring countries, which is a good thing, and it will add a reliability factor to the transportation system. Now, talking about the reliability factor, the roads, the car are still a more reliable mode of transport. Usually if you have a car, you tend to maintain it, you tend to take care of it, but you try, the problem with the road mode of transport is congestion and traffic jams. Sometimes you are late for work, and sometimes, so you are still using the car because you think it's reliable. However, we did not reach the stage that we are using the public transport system because of reliability. So that's the first factor, and we hope that we have a proper bus system and proper railway system, and maybe a proper teleboard system, or a proper cycling routes, whatever kind of transport system you would like to consider. We hope always that our countries and neighboring countries becomes more reliable. That is being said, that's the first factor that you compare between city A and city B, which is reliability. Your ability to depend on the mode of transport to transport you from point A to point B. The second part is availability, and the car is still by far the most available system for many people. So especially between the night hours, between 12 o'clock till 6 o'clock in the morning, many metro systems are shut down. They are not working across the globe because sometimes they need to do some maintenance for them, because sometimes they have to do some because they at the end of the day, in order to keep the railway system running, you have to maintain it, you have to take care of it. So by far the car is still the most available system. However, it is limited in terms of distance. So if you want to go, for example, let me say to Paris from let us say from Saudi Arabia, will not think about using the car, because while the car is available, it's not reliable for that distance. So it's always a combination between different factors. So but when you need to take, if you wanted to take the car now, the car is available. But if you want to take the plane now, the plane is not available. You have to wait for the next journey or for the next trip. And many airlines across the globe, they are always trying to offer these kind of availability slots that help people think about traveling more, because the more it's always an interdependent relation. If there is a more available trips, maybe more people will be thinking about traveling. However, you should combine the business with that. So that's two factors: reliability and availability. The other factor is safety. And many people sometimes think about safety. Of course, roads and using cars to transport have resulted and in a lot of transport accidents, and some people got killed, and some people died, and some people got injured because of road accidents and because of car accidents, which is much less than the railways, and much less than, let me say, much less than, if I may say, than seaboards, or much less than even airlines. So by far, the road mode of transport is not the safest mode of transport. However, because of its availability, because of its reliability, it becomes the strongest mode of transport. And with the recent development and the safety and the sensors and all of that, and the, let me say, and the warning systems, things are becoming, at least, and the, let me say, and crash worthiness within the car are becoming safer, and so on. But it's still the road mode of transport is not the safest system. Other systems are safer, but people tend to take the risk, and sometimes they don't understand safety and risk as they should, and they don't look at the numbers, but they look at their previous experiences, and sometimes it only takes one accident for you, and that's it. So there is a high risk there is a very high risk in terms of using, let me say, definitely there is a very high risk of injury if you are using let me say, a small car, that if you had an accident you will be directly affected. So that's a high risk. Or speeding. So there is definitely a high risk of getting injured if you speed while texting, for example. So that's safety. People think about transport systems from reliability point of view, from availability point of view, and from safety. The other thing they think about is about maintainability, which is about the ability to keep the system at its current levels of reliability, availability, and safety. So sometimes with time, while you are using the car, or while you are using the buses, or while you are using the roads, or while you are using the railways, the system becomes deteriorate, and it needs a lot of maintenance to stay within its current level of service. And the level of service is somehow the combination of all. Some people use RAM, some people use level of service. It's different terminologies for the same thing. So maintaining the road and keep making sure that the roads are still safe, they are still available, and they are still reliable is a very big burden on many governments. And I'm not talking about small governments, I'm not talking about small countries, I'm talking about countries across the globe. So a country like Germany might face some kind of might allocate a significant budget in road maintenance, and maybe you can see in a country like China is very much eager to upgrade their transport system, to build more railway network, and to extend their transport networks to all over the country. And maybe in the United States, you see countries that are trying to maybe invent a new mode of transport that is faster, that is more reliable, that is safer, and so on. And that's all of these, the RAMs, reliability, availability, maintainability, and safety, contribute to something that we call dependability. And dependability is about the ability for you to trust the transport system to deliver your needs, which is let me say, a little bit higher than reliability, because it's a combination of all. So if you have a highly dependable transport system, then your transport system is good. That is being said, cost is a big issue for many transport modes. So in many cases, the cost will be the determining factor, whether you take the bus or you take the train or you take the car or you take the plane. Or that has always historically been the case, and it continues to be the case. And some countries are struggling with maintenance, with the cost of maintenance within their organizations, while others are struggling of the cost of building a new transport infrastructure, like new airports and new railways and new seaports and so on. So allocating the right amount of budget for transport system is important for the economy, and this is important for this growth. This is why we always hear about different transportation dreams. So people eventually, they always dream that at one point you just kind of click on a button, or just maybe have a thought within your mind, and you just become teleported from one country to another, or from one place to another. So there are other dreams about using rockets to move people to Mars and to go larger distances. So always transport has always fascinated people, and it was associated with great inventions. So the invention of the car, the invention of the airplane, the invention of the jet engine, the invention of the steam locomotive, the invention. So it was always associated. This has actually changed our lives. So the way we transport is always has significant impact on people's lives, and always people appreciate the changes that happens within their transport system. However, cost plays a big part in this equation, but we always have the right to dream and to think about new ways of transport, whether it was, let me say, an amphibian car that you can drive it, then you can dive with it, or you can you can just float in the water, or whether it's, let me say, a combination between a plane and a car. So we have seen some prototypes in this area where you drive a car for some point, then suddenly it becomes an airplane, you fly with that. Or we also have seen, maybe you just want to make it just more cost efficient, we look at electric cars and the revolution of electric cars, and we look at maybe even solar, the use of solar panels in solar impulse too, or these kind of project where they build a plane and they put they try to provide it with energy through solar power. And we see this concept with trying to build let me say, solar drones that can feed the earth with the internet. So it is always a topic of interesting discussion. It's always a topic of a good research. It's always a good conversation to be had around transport and how we can improve transport, and what are the technologies that we can use to make our transportation systems more efficient, to make them more reliable, to make them more effective. So transport is a very big topic. And I talked about reliability, availability, maintenance, and safety, and the concept of dependability. I talked about human aspiration of transport, and I talked about cost and the struggle of different countries with developing their transportation systems, and how sometimes cost becomes the most influential factor in making decisions. We wish everyone a great let me say, wish everyone to have a great and very comfortable transport journey. And that was my broadcast for tonight. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, 8:45 in English, Amman time, on this channel. We have 2 broadcasts, one at 8:30 in Arabic and one at 8:45 in English. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye. Salam.